I barely utilize it. I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Uh,
I'm utilizing my Instagram a little
So you
more
could go
now.
on your Safari and then go on Facebook from there.
all right.
Okay.
Well, we live, y'all.
Oh, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. This is something special we're doing this morning. We are not on the radio live. We are on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, obviously, because you would only know that by watching us. We chose today on the air to air Dick Gregory's memorial service from September 16th. And that's what, if you're listening on Sirius XM Progress 127, that's what you're listening to right now. The reason for that is Dick Gregory's birthday always usually fell around Indigenous Peoples Day, or as some of you still would call it, Columbus Day. It's not Columbus. Columbus was lost. And as I've always said, the meaning of Columbus can be summed up in the opening words of C.L.R. James' great work, The Black Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture, and the San Domingo Revolution, in which he opens by saying, and I think I have this exact quote right because I usually memorize it. He said that Christopher Columbus, upon arriving in the New World, praised and gave thanks to God, and then began to search urgently for gold. And that's all it was about. And we know that that began the centuries of enslavement of indigenous people to this region, and then ultimately with the blessing of the church, the Catholic Church, at the time, on an appeal from a priest by the name of De las Casas, began the importation of Africans here to this hemisphere for slavery. So this is Indigenous Peoples Day. Nothing good about Columbus. We always taught it was something good about him, but he was no good at all. The hell with him. And so if you listen on the radio, and you should continue to listen if you like, or listen on demand, Dick Gregory's celebration, we aired a clip of him also on our social media, Facebook.com/MakeItPlain, Twitter.com/MakeItPlain. A speech he gave at a rally against the Washington football team about 3 years ago. The Vikings were playing the Washington football team, and there was a rally because that's all the names are offensive. Chicago Blackhawks, Florida State Seminoles, Atlanta Braves, the Cleveland Indians, whom my Yankees vanquished last night, and I hope they continue to vanquish them. There have been calls for all these teams to drop these names, change these names. They're offensive. Dick was there. Dick Gregory was there. His actual birthday is on the 12th. He was there in Minnesota with the indigenous people, and he was always an ally of the Native American people. And lastly, as we say, just as I'm on this stroll down history, They Came Before Columbus is a book by Dr. Ivan Van Sertim. I would also recommend people read, where he documented the Africans who came here in the 1300s who were not slaves, and developed trade and commerce with the indigenous people that were already here. So we were all kind of existing, doing all right.
That's right.
Before the white man decided to take over the whole world and colonize us. And I don't have it on today. You've seen it. I've been wearing, for Aaron Judge, the powdered wig. And I'm not wearing it today because it's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
Because that particular wig is what's still worn in the court. And it's funny, people still wear that wig. I had this wig on.
Yes.
And a brother hit me up on social media and said, "You must be Nigerian."
Wow.
Because every country that was colonized by the British, they still required to wear the powder wig in court.
Wow. Oh my God.
People of color in Hong Kong.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? So he didn't think he didn't get the joke because of Aaron Judge.
Yes.
He said, "Oh, you must be Nigerian." And another person, no, he might be Jamaican. Because I'm telling you,
They wear this wig in
2017.
Jamaica.
they still wear these wigs. So you have to, when you represent in court, I guess they do, because the brother said in Jamaica. So we looked up, I didn't look up every country. I didn't get a chance to look up Jamaica.
Mhm.
I know at one time it was required, but it's still a part of the culture, the wig, the robe, and all of that. So today was the day I chose not to wear it.
Thank you.
But it's funny. Somebody came in the other day and I didn't have it on. They were like, "We were hoping you were gonna wear the wig," but because they thought it's funny, of course. But I remember, so many times because the idea was that these wigs, they were powdered and people put them on their head, and it was all of them used to wear them. Even the colonialists here would wear them.
Mhm.
But it is one of the symbols of settler colonialism, and we decry that today. The Cleveland team needs to change their name. All these teams need to change their name. And somebody said, "Well, Notre Dame calls themselves the Fighting Irish, and they have a leprechaun." I said, "Excuse me, breaking news. There's no such thing as a leprechaun."
Right.
Although I know there's this viral video in Atlanta, some people seen. You remember that? People said they saw one, but no. So that's not discriminating against anybody.
Right.
To have a leprechaun as a mascot. I will say this.
Mhm.
Throughout, the Yankees made a decision.
Mhm.
They put the logos up in the stadium for the different teams, and there was not no Chief Wahoo
Wonderful.
on any signage in Yankee Stadium last night.
Wonderful.
They weren't selling no hats. Everybody has a C, and I understand Major League Baseball has asked them to get rid of it, but they still won't do it. But still, that's just the demand. It's even if they get rid of Wahoo, the name of the team is still the Indians.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what we need to do away with.
Yeah. Exactly.
So anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent, but it is Indigenous Peoples Day, so I can say that today. If it offends anybody, I don't give a damn. And if y'all want to today, stand up, be strong, have some backbone. Go back to self-hatred tomorrow, okay? But today, let's at least pretend like we have some self-respect and don't condone those kind of things. Okay. Now, again, Indigenous Peoples Day, we have some very special guests in studio with us to tell us about today, some events coming up, and it is good to see them. Of course, many of you I know already recognize, because she's been a regular here with us down through the years. She's been a regular, will remain a regular. We have the utmost regard for her, and I know more and more people realize the role she has been playing and is playing in terms of bringing us in the consciousness of the indigenous people and bridging the relationship between African people, and for that matter, all people of color,
yes, sir,
and indigenous people. And that's obviously her calling. We appreciate that. Queen Yonasda Lone Wolf.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good to see you too, Mark.
Looking sharp.
I had to get, dressed in my finest. I knew I was coming on the show. I knew you had the camera on.
That's right. That's right. No, we needed to. We want everybody to see you. I'm going to let you introduce our guests.
Yes.
I know their names, but I want you to do this because it's very special. This other regal sister we have.
Thank you so much.
So this is my sister in the movement, my indigenous sister, Nicole Banks, and she is the former tribal trustee of the Shinnecock Nation. So it's only right that I had to get someone that's local. Because we have to always pay homage to our first nation's people here in New York or Manhattan.
Yes, definitely, Manhattan.
Yeah.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. It's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
And we need to really get out there and advocate and push for this. The metro area and all states need to jump on board with this. We need to reach out to the people out there that's making these changes and putting it to the table and get these changes done.
Yeah.
Cuomo and Christie, we're out in New York and New Jersey pushing for this, and it's something that we really want. This year we'll be celebrating the 80th Columbus Day. Well, they'll be celebrating the 80th Columbus Day, and hopefully there won't be an 81st. It's time to put an end to this, and that's why we're here to promote Indigenous Peoples Day and to celebrate and commemorate what Native people contribute and have done. And we've contributed a lot. We were the first peoples.
Are other states getting rid of Columbus Day?
Yes.
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Just got rid of
Okay.
and as well as Albuquerque. I think Albuquerque just
Seattle.
Seattle.
There's like 9 states that have got on board, if not more. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're
Somebody asked me last night, well, Mark, if we get rid of it, will we still get the holiday? I said we should.
yeah.
Indigenous Peoples Day should be a holiday.
Yeah, you pay homage to those that was first here.
Right.
And then it should be a day of rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A day of rest, observance, and spirituality.
Exactly. And then
My brother here.
This is my other brother my brother in the movement, Malik Bomani Allah. He's Cuban American from Miami. He just came out of Hurricane Irma in Miami, Florida.
Irma, I'm told is how we're supposed to say it, right? No, I had one of the Latino brothers on me. He said Irma. I say, all right, there it is. What's happening, brother?
Peace, Mark. Thank you for having us on.
It's good to see you too. Now, there were people also in Cuba before Columbus got here.
Absolutely.
So we all come from the same.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
The same route. Huh?
No different but a boat stop. No
yeah, really. It's just a question for many of us who are African people who just where they let us off the boat first.
Right.
Where we got off first. How things are in Miami these days?
Well, we're recovering from the storm. Luckily we didn't get hit as hard as our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, but we're still very much so in the recovery process. So cool. We're working on it. Absolutely.
Good. Well, our thoughts and prayers are with all of you. Folks, of course, as I said, we're not on the radio, but feel free to make comments in the comment section. We'll try to keep up with you. So, Queen Yonasda, what brings you to Manhattan?
I just had to make sure I come and see you, Mark.
Oh, really? I'm not worthy, but thank you.
Man, it's a blessing to always be able for you to come in and on a day off.
I had to.
Yeah. And I think that today, it's so sad that in 2017, we still have to be able to bring awareness of who Christopher Columbus is and why we shouldn't celebrate him and why today should be honored for Indigenous Peoples Day, And so we are here to make sure to let everyone know that we're not extinct. We're still here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that Indigenous people are extinct. I wanted to make sure that, that also those that's in the Caribbean are also Indigenous peoples. So that's why Malik flew in from Miami. And, so we wanted to just make sure that that conversation is on these type of platforms, because many times Indigenous people are not asked to come to the table and to the conversation on these type of platforms on regards to our plight.
Nicole Eagle Eye Banks, this day, as well as what I call Thanksgiving, are days. And every year I used to have our brother, he's gone on to the ancestry now, Brother Vernon Bellecourt.
Yes.
Of Wabanini, of the American Indian movement. And he would always talk about his thing were these teams. Yes. And we'd always talk about these teams because they were just so blatant. In terms of acting as if Native people have no humanity. And that's still the case.
Yes, it is. And, we have to really push for them to start righting some of these wrongs. It's just a social injustice. It's very discriminating and hurtful. The statue that now stands in Columbus Circle of Columbus, that needs to come down, just to commemorate a man that has stole, murdered, raped our people. Yeah. It's like, you never see a Hitler statue standing in
and that's something. Wait, it's against the law.
Thank you.
Every other part of the world, we take this freedom of speech to the nth degree here, and that's why people get away with something. But you're right. No Hitler statue.
Never.
No, it needs to be just to prove a point.
Yeah,
just to prove a point. And and I also too. If especially the Italian American community, if they really want Christopher Columbus to be, here in the statue up, then our statues of native people, a statue of Russell Means need to be right in the heart of Italy, of Sicily, Italy.
Right. And yeah.
And Nelson Nelson Mandela and Malcolm X. Let's put our presence in these places, since they want to continue to put their presence in this place, which is our land.
Or Leonard Peltier.
Let's free him too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's what's necessary. So, also, you are a number of events you're involved in terms of stopping police violence and police brutality.
Yeah, so there's two things, as you know, and those people that are listening and that do not know, I'm a national organizer and an activist. And two of the things is that's really, really heavy on my heart and spirit is stopping police brutality.
Of course.
Not just in the Black community, but also in the Indigenous community. Native Americans are killed at a higher rate than Black men with police brutality. And it is so, but it's not spoken about a lot. And so we have families, the family of Good Blanket, the brother of Paul Castaway. We have Mike Brown Sr.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many, and it's so sad to say that there's so many families, but all roads are leading to Atlanta. The 19th through the 22nd in October, we're going to shut it down.
Good.
And and we're going to go to the birthplace of where the civil rights movement started in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's not only just to shut it down, but more so to bring awareness to these families and to their stolen loved ones that are not in the media anymore. And for us to be able to come together, bring support. The reason why these football players are taking a knee, or they should be reminded of why they're taking a knee, is because of these families. It's not about Trump. No. It's about those families that still have not received justice.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why they're taking a knee. So we are inviting all athletes to come, to come and support these families. We're going to do books and breakfast like the Black Panther Party. We're going to bring that, feed the community of Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to do a silent march, a town hall panel. So for those that would like to come, all roads lead to Atlanta, National Stop Police Brutality Weekend in Atlanta, October 19th through the 22nd.
Is there a website?
You just go on Facebook. You could go on all social media, National Stop Police Brutality Weekend.
All right.
In Atlanta. And then the second thing is this hurricane. These hurricanes are coming back to back to back. And what a lot of people were not talking about is how they are the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
The Virgin Islands, it's totally wiped out.
Yeah. I had a Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett on Friday from the Virgin Islands, and she was talking to us about that.
Yeah. So we just did, myself and Malik and about 10 other cities just did Hip Hop for the People, which was a fundraising event all on one day. And then we're doing a part 2 on October 28th. And what cities again, Malik?
We are doing Cleveland, Blanding, Utah, DC, and Atlanta on October 28th. And we'll be here in New York on the 27th.
So, and this is relief?
Yes.
Relief efforts.
It's
Okay.
a benefit relief concert. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if I could just add, this all
Please.
has to do with climate change.
Yes.
And us being good stewards of the land. It's our responsibility to preserve and to keep our land and our resources available for the next 7 generations. And that's how we live. So, I want to also send prayers to our Indigenous brothers and sisters out in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
We have the Arawaks and the Tainos and all the Puerto Rican people there. We just want to send our prayers out to them because it's just unbelievable. New York has never been so warm.
Yeah, I know.
It's humid.
And
it feels like Miami here.
New York has never been so warm. And then we're in DC for the 54th anniversary of March on Washington.
Yes.
And it was cool.
Wow.
Now, with March on Washington, August 28th, ain't been 300 degrees in history.
Right.
And I'm tripping. So this doesn't even make sense. Isn't it an indigenous expression? The earth does not belong to us, but we belong to the earth.
Yes.
That's right.
And so what would your ancestors say about the way in which we are treating the earth and not being good stewards of the earth? Nicole?
Well, I believe our ancestors would say that we have to get vocal. We have to do more. We have to get out there and speak up and do our part. And I think, we as people, we can't do everything, but, everyone can do a little bit. And that's what we need to do. Just do
we
our
need to
part.
stop polluting it.
Yes.
And exactly what Nikki was saying in regards to you know, speaking up, being vocal against these corporations that are constantly polluting the land, from the oil pipelines to what they're putting into our water system.
Yes.
The whole infrastructure, we talked about this before in regards to
Right.
water is the new gold. And they're really trying to, really use water against us. You know,
You had mentioned earlier about being proactive, and when you were doing the hip hop for Flint with
Yes.
the water and the
Mhm.
filtration systems, you were saying when they tested the water, you'd be surprised what you find in there. So that's another thing we could do is really be proactive. You know,
Yeah.
we have to start doing testing and getting out there and find out what's being put in our soil, what's being put in our water, in the air. I mean, the pollution, it is going to affect all of us,
Yeah. No
as
question
it
about
has been doing.
Yeah, no question about it. Folks, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. Brother Malik, in terms of some of the relief efforts that are going on, you've been organizing hip hop artists?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Who's some of the people you've been working with? Give us some of the highlights.
So,
if you would.
we had last week, we had the benefit concert in Miami, and we had our headlining artist was Zoe Dollars. Came
Okay.
through YD, Frank Castle, a lot of local artists from the community that came
Yeah.
out and showed love. And
Well, that's good.
yeah, this was a charity event, so they showed up, on their account, and it was love because a lot of times Miami artists in the hip hop community in Miami, we carry a stigma, right, that the artists don't work together and don't collaborate in regards to matters of the community. So seeing the city come out last week was a pleasure and was a blessing. So definitely.
Cool. No, that's very, very important. And in terms of the national weekend that's taking place in Atlanta, I was sharing with my guests before we came in, National Stop Police Brutality Weekend, before we came in the studio. And some of you have been following me on social media, have seen it, but I draw no delineation because these things keep happening and it's like a one shot. This is happening, it's in isolation. No, Vegas and Michael Brown and Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland and Trayvon, to me, are all a continuum.
Yes.
Right.
Oscar Grant.
And Oscar Grant. And see, people act as if, and of course, there are different details and circumstances in each one. But there's still violence and disregard for human life, whether it's a vigilante like Zimmerman or whether it's police force or whether it's some nut job in Vegas who probably was incited and propagandized by the NRA. So when Saturday Night Live did its tribute to the Vegas victims, and it's known that Tom Petty was woke and a liberal, but the song of his they chose had the lyrics, "Stand My Ground. I won't back down, gonna stand my ground." And I just made a comment on social media that hearing those words in a segment devoted to gun violence or addressing gun violence brings me right back to Trayvon.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Mark, you want to make everything black. You want to make everything, and some black folk even said this.
Yeah.
But to me, if you don't put all those things together, you're not solving the problem.
Yeah.
It's all related. I know there are people who want us to forget about Trayvon, but what's the difference between Zimmerman and what this dude did? The guy, neither one of them were cops on their situation, but may as well have been.
Yeah.
Because of what we've seen the police do. So I just think, and I know they didn't mean it, don't get me wrong, but like we're saying, Brother Malik, that's the difference between one of us being in the room.
Right.
Somebody who's conscious, a person of color, when these decisions are made, one of us being present, oh, why don't we pick another Tom Petty song? Because for some of us, and see, again, that's a term, stand your ground, that most of us will never think of the same way. Again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Tom. I mean, now if you want to sing the song at an event on an occasion that doesn't have anything to do with gun violence, then fine.
Right.
Maybe I won't think about it. But when you say we got to do something about these guns, and then you go into that. So we know that if something is not done, we also know they say this was the worst massacre in history. We know that ain't true either.
That's not true. They always want to whitewash our history. because if you look at Wounded Knee,
Yeah.
even if you look at it's at the tip of my tongue.
Tulsa.
Yes. Even when you look at, I mean,
Yeah.
this whole nation was built on bloodshed, on bones and bodies of nothing but violence. So for them to say that it was the worst mass shooting in history
Right.
is a blatant lie. It's a
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
And they continue to want to erase, whitewash the history
Yeah.
of what Europe, Spain, Italy, all of that entire area, what they did here to indigenous people, original people, Black and Native people.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and then from there, having the song, I mean, it's kind of one of those things like you don't get it yet.
Yeah. No.
You don't, but you don't get the understanding that there has to be some level of respect and love in your DNA in 2017 in order for you to be able to stop whitewashing everything and minimize and making your situation seem like it's, I mean, it was, don't get me wrong, that shooting in Vegas was horrible. Horrible. But what would have happened if it was a hip hop concert? Well, we still get the same compassion.
That's a good point.
You know, but and then for
It'd
them
be like
to,
that's just what they do. It just be
yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
And that's what I mean about our lives matter. You're right. I didn't think about that. If that was a hip hop concert.
If it was a hip hop concert, our lives wouldn't matter. They would be calling him a terrorist. They wouldn't even say it was the worst mass shooting. They would say this what happens.
Yeah.
And then they'll start saying, see, black on black crime.
Yeah.
And then they start comparing Chicago.
Right. Well, they already. That's what Sarah Huckabee said in the press conference. But this is not called white on white crime.
Right.
Nor is country music considered violent. Even though, and I was telling Brother Malik this, they had a caller call the other day, and this European caller lost his mind. Black caller called the other day and said, it's ironic that the Vegas shooter would shoot all of these people when that demographic, country music listeners, tend to be more in affinity with the NRA.
Yes.
European. Oh, how you gonna say that about all country music people? I said, well, first of all, I didn't say it. The caller said it. But then that same evening, Roseanne Cash, you can go to New York Times and read it. Country music artist from Nashville wrote a piece in the New York Times, an op-ed, about how country musicians need to stand up to the NRA because the NRA had been targeting country music artists and country music consumers as a base of support. So hold time out. We say hip hop, or you all say hip hop,
right,
is all about guns and violence. Here the NRA is gunifying. I just made that word up. Country music. So is country music?
Right.
Right.
Thuggish, ruckish, violent now? But we can't say that. It's because it's always got to be on us. So those are some of the contradictions that we're dealing with.
Yeah, and that just goes back to what you were saying, Mark. When it's a question of underrepresentation, then it takes away our ability to contextualize the conversation. You know, When we talk about stand your ground, everybody should be thinking about Trayvon Martin. It ain't just black and brown folks that should be thinking about Trayvon Martin.
That's right. That's right. So, folks, again, Indigenous Peoples Day. We hope that everybody takes some time today to declare that. This ain't no Columbus. Columbus is nothing to admire or embrace. He was really one player in what will become centuries of violence, bloodshed, and oppression. And so do not celebrate this day for him. Instead, lift up the spirits and the lives of those whom he affected, from the native people, the indigenous people here in this country, to those who, because of him, were subsequently brought over here to be enslaved. And as we said, the people that were here, the people that were here were already here. And we were where we were, and we all were together, functioning, having reverence for the land, and whatnot. Now, speaking of which, I have a gift here, right? I wanted you to explain to us on this Indigenous Peoples Day? What is this you
Yes,
brought
this
me?
is Sweetgrass, and this is one of our medicines that we use for cleansing and ceremonial purposes. It's braided here. It's considered the hair of our mother. So I just wanted you to have this. You can burn it and clean all the negative energy. Columbus Day today would be a good day to
Big
burn
day to
this.
burn it. I know.
Get all the evil spirits
right.
out there. But thank
Wonderful.
you.
Well, thank you.
That's
That
for
is.
you.
That
And you
is
know what?
beautiful.
When you're talking about how our people were trading a long time ago, I spent about 3 weeks in California meeting with all of the being amongst all of the coastal natives of California. And I was learning so much that, and as well as Nikki is a coastal native with the Shinnecock, and see, I'm a plains native, being Lakota.
Okay.
So this was a whole new, learning lesson for me
Okay.
in regards to the culture of being coastal Native American. And then
So is a lot of distinction between
Yes.
plains?
Yes.
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
So for instance, what was so funny, okay, so when my friend Shanae, she's also Shinnecock, when she came to Standing Rock and, she was wondering about the buffalo, and, buffalo are our relatives. So I'm like, so a lot of people was asking questions, is it going to come and, ram at me? Is it going to kill me? I'm like, no, we're one with the buffalo, we're one with the Tatanka,
Yes.
And so, but then I'm in California and I went surfing for the first time. I was really decolonizing because I learned that
Wow.
surfing was for Royal Women of Hawaii. That's what they would do. So it was these 3 princes that came to California in 1921, and they saw the water and they was wondering why no one is in the water surfing. And so they started surfing, and then a whole bunch of Caucasians saw that and was like, oh, we want to learn. So
Okay.
surfing is, and then as well as bobsledding also comes from Hawaii. The men used to bobsled down the volcano of the volcano mountains. And that's where bobsledding comes from.
Wow.
And so I was learning all these things, but
Wow.
in regards to the traveling, we made this boat after, it was after, from these leaves, like these big, gigantic leaves, and it actually floats on top of the water of the Pacific Ocean. And so I was meeting with some of the Hawaiians, and they were saying that the New Zealanders, the Maori tribe, the Maori would say, oh, we've been traveling. We're related to our family on the East Coast. So a lot of white people was thinking, oh, the New Zealanders would come over to New York. No, the East Coast of them is California.
I see. Okay.
So in
Okay.
regards to
Okay.
us coming together and trading, we always, when I was learning, is that, so when you look at the Ivory Coast of Africa, when you look at all of the coastal regions of all of the indigenous people from Africa to, that whole region, South America, we always have been coming together and traveling and trading and learning so many different things.
And it was a beautiful thing. And it's just a shame that the Europeans came here and they put, their own profit and gain over human life. It's just a real shame that the value they put on the life of natives and African Americans and all minority, the browns, the reds, the yellows. And we really have to be vigilant, peacefully vigilant, and get up there and make a difference.
Now, speaking of Hawaii, you brought me something too.
Yeah, from Polynesia.
Okay.
It's for royalty. It has a little excerpt on what exactly it is. But because you're royal,
I am.
And yes, you are.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you are.
You were king. Mark.
You're a king. King Mark Thompson. Oh no. Your name.
Matamala.
Matamala.
Yeah.
King Matamala.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So I'm blessed with this, and let me tell you something. She brought me a hat too. I know who's gonna.
Shout out to Nation 19.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, my son's gonna take this because he likes these types of hats. Anyway.
The bucket hat.
The bucket. Oh my God!
I wanted to get that because of your locks.
Yeah.
And I felt that
But I got a big head. No,
it might fit you. There you go.
Fit me.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
All praises due to Allah.
All praises due to Allah.
How about that?
Yep.
So folks, a lot taking place, and we're over the next few days. Some of the participants in the National Weekend to Stop Police Brutality.
That's right.
Will be coming on. Some of the families are sharing their stories. So be sure to tune in to that on the show when we go back on the radio. And we'll probably also be on Facebook Live as well later this week. And I hope you share this video across your social media. If you do nothing else to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, please share this video with my brother and my sisters here, especially in all of their
Regalia. Cultural regalia.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes.
Indeed. And because this is the day that we should acknowledge, and it is their culture that we should acknowledge. Y'all run around and put on green for St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
And that's fine. But don't get mad at us. It's some of you do when we do the things that we do. So again, more of the hip hop relief concerts. Where can people find out about those and where they are in proximity to them?
Well, they could check out the dates on hiphop4.net. And we are also having a text to relief service. So if they text the word relief to 48421, they'll be able to make a monetary contribution to the relief efforts on the ground. One thing that we're doing is we're establishing service partnerships and working with a lot of non-governmental organizations that are on the ground in Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico to make sure that these supplies actually get to the people.
Thank you.
Because we know, watching the news, we know that the federal response to these tragedies has not been, has been less than adequate. Right. So we want to make sure that we take the necessary steps and take the initiative to make sure that these supplies get to our peoples on the ground. So we're working with a lot of non-governmental organizations like Community Action Now, that's just Ifat Muhammad, that is helping us make sure that these supplies get to the people that need it. So
48421, text relief.
Relief, RELIEF. And even if you spell it wrong, you'll still get the link.
That's
right. 48421. And the website again?
hiphop4.net.
Okay, is it the number 4 or?
Yeah, the number 4.
Yes, sir.
hiphop4 .net. Did you all hear Trump saying Puerto Rico the other night? Did you see that?
I'm looking at this right now. I'm just anything that Trump says is just Trump is purposely making us unite. You know, and we need this unification. It's unfortunate that it's this evil that's forcing us to unite, but we need this unification. So there's hurricane relief to help our people of Puerto Rico, and not just Puerto Rico. We got to make sure we are helping all of the Caribbean. We have contacts on the ground throughout the entire Caribbean that has been affected. So it's going to take our unity. Forget what the government's trying to do, the U.S. government, what Trump's trying to do, because if we can continue relying on them, they're going to continue stealing our land. That's right. So we got to do it ourselves.
He had fun in Puerto Rico. We were down there.
Right.
And he had fun doing the paper towel.
Right.
He's a big kid.
He's
a big baby. Yeah. How you have fun in the midst of people dying?
And jump shooting paper towel. But did you hear him pronounce it the other night? Did you hear that? Or y'all got, if you hear me, I'm gonna play this right now. I'm gonna play it from my phone. Y'all can hear it in the microphone.
Okay.
Listen to this. Let me see. Here we go.
We are also praying for the people of Puerto Rico. Right. We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. We love you. And we also love Puerto Rico.
Isn't that stupid?
He's just
Puerto Rico.
You know what? And everyone that voted for him,
and people laughing at him.
Right.
Anyone that voted for him, you all, as an Indigenous woman, you're not even welcome here. Don't even make America great again. Make America Indigenous again.
I love it. Yes. Make America Indigenous again. I love it. But you hear the people laughing,
right?
As he's overpronouncing the Spanish. Puerto Rico,
right?
Puerto Rico. It's
yeah. But you know, Mark, it's, you know, if there's one thing to take away from these tragedies, a lot of times you find out who you are in the face of these tragedies, right? And especially us in the so-called Latino communities, a lot of us haven't reclaimed our identities as Afro-Indigenous people.
Come on, doctor.
So a lot of times when these tragedies happen and we see things like that happen, we get reminded of who it is that we really are. And that's why it's important to have that dialogue and facilitate that dialogue about who we are, socially, culturally, and also politically. So
and that orange devil knows who you are.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why he don't want nobody to come here from Puerto Rico.
He's showing us, right?
Because see, First of all, I don't think he knew Puerto Rico was part of the United States. I honestly don't think he or anybody in the White House knew it. Number one, because everybody's from Mexico to him.
Right.
That's number one.
Right.
Number two, he also didn't know that they vote. Now, if you leave folk in Puerto Rico, they vote in Puerto Rico, and that's only so many electoral votes, if any. But if folks start coming here and evacuated, and they can go in some states that can actually affect his reelection, he don't want that. And that's the bottom line. Exactly. Puerto Rico, just
the fact that he had mentioned too, with this crisis, that Puerto Rico inflated the budget. That clearly right there. I mean, we have a responsibility to, the people there, and it's just it's a sad situation that he can even act as if it were their fault that we had this catastrophic event happen over there.
And then he says he's going to forgive the debt. It is not owed to the United States. It's like me forgiving your debt, and you don't owe me no money.
Right.
You got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So I forgive your debt. Now, what does that do for you? You still got to go pay those bills.
Right.
Yes.
Now, if I'm forgiving your debt, I'm gonna pay your bills.
Yeah.
Right. So that just doesn't it just doesn't make any sense, folks.
Because they don't forgive us on these treaties, all these broken treaties.
Yeah.
That they continuously break. So man.
And speaking of the Mexican people, the Mexicanos.
Yes.
Those are the original people too.
Yep. Yes. Those are our relatives.
We're illegal aliens on their land, right?
Yeah. Well,
those of us.
We?
Well, I mean, the so-called American.
Yeah.
The American is.
Yes.
The settler colonialist is. I'm not. That's what we are.
Right.
I sound like Malcolm. We are astronauts, but we sick. But you all are the settler colonialists. Right. I'm a stranger here too.
Right.
We were brought here against our will. So. Right. The Mexicanos, the people of Mexico, are the native people themselves.
Yep.
There's a reason why they look the way they look.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They can just fall out of the sky. All these people here. Okay. All right, folks. So again, National Weekend to Stop Police Brutality in Atlanta. Google it. It's everywhere. It's on social media. It's on Facebook.
Yep.
National Weekend to Stop Police. Queen Yonasda doing all this great organizing,
always,
and keeping it up. And that's really what it's all about. We've got to stay vigilant, stay organized. We cannot become, as Amir Baraka once said, self-congratulatory militants.
And I've been saying that, as a freedom fighter, and all freedom fighters and organizers and activists, Trump has been keeping us busy.
Right. That's right.
Man, I feel like I'm Ali with Frazier in the ring, the fight for justice, freedom, equality.
Right. The truth always wins. So
the truth always wins. So nice to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
Come back and see us. Nicole Eagle Eye Banks, Brother Malik, Bomani.
Pleasure, brother.
Good to see you, brother. Let's get that number again. Where do people text?
Text relief, RELIEF, to 48421.
Now listen, everybody is all and uptight about the Red Cross. Oh, we don't trust the Red Cross no more.
We the Black Cross.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right. But I'm saying, don't complain about the Red Cross and then not give no money to your brother.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just be mad about the Red Cross and keep your money in your pocket is not going to do any good. And the Black Cross was what Marcus Garvey called his relief organization. It was called the Black Cross.
Know that.
So wow. This is the Black Cross. So 48421, text the word relief. And if you want to find out where events are happening in your locale, hip hop concerts for relief with a lot of local artists, because at the end of the day, a lot of the best hip hop is local because it comes from the community. It comes from the people's experience.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's one thing that we want the people to understand. All of this is a completely grassroots effort. We're coordinating all of these efforts with volunteers, people that are giving their time, people that are on the ground, securing drop-off locations nationally. This is all coming from the ground. We don't have any major corporate sponsorships to put on these concerts. We don't have a budget. This is really, we getting it out the mud, how we say in Miami.
That's right. I know that's right. Yeah, I like that. I like
getting
that.
It out the mud.
Thank you, my brother. And Queen Yonasda, Lone Wolf, always, sister. Good to see you.
Thank
You're splendid in your red. Folks, I know some of you probably thought you were going to not have to deal with me today. And I know many of you listened to Dick's funeral, but we wanted to do this. 360 degrees of wokeness. And as I said, you know, we can, I know self-hatred is hard to resist. Go back to that tomorrow. Today, though, free your mind. Please, ma'am, please, sir, help these sisters and brothers. See, and as she said, they're doing books and breakfast. They're doing relief. So folk not just here profiling,
right,
and rhetoricizing and all of that, and intellectualizing. Folk are literally on the ground doing the necessary work that needs to be done for our people throughout this hemisphere from shore to shore. So please lend your support. Text relief 48421 48421 I'm not on the radio, so you can't call me. So rather than call me to talk and get mad at me about something, text 48421. Text the word relief. Happy. Say to somebody today, blow their mind. Call them. Say, hey, happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
That's right.
Mess them up. Well,
that's right.
It was this shock because they haven't heard it.
And they got to do a war cry. And then the men go hokahe.
Hokahe. What's that mean?
That's like a yay.
It's a good day to die.
It's a good day to die.
Hokahe.
It's a good day to die.
That's
Hokahe.
Right. Happy what would have been Dick Gregory's 85th birthday on the 12th. But he always aligned his birthday with Indigenous Peoples Day. And so please, man, please, sir, remember him. We thank you all. We will be back live on the air tomorrow morning, fighting the good fight. And we ask that you join us on Sirius XM Progress 127. If all minds are clear, thank you again to all of our guests. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain. Thank you all. All righty.
I'll send you the bill for the